Hello and welcome back, Cud Buds. Scott from Grogpod.
It's the one.
Grogpod? Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
The Grogpod, the grogliest of all the pods out there.
Yeah, and you cover traditional roguelikes or non-traditional, all of the roguelikes, all of the rogues, which we never had that discussion of what is a rogue, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah,
I don't think we need to do that.
I mean, we actually for the podcast we did a special, almost like 2 hour long episode deep diving
Oh,
that specific topic and war rooming about what do we think it means to us as people who haven't really been embedded in that debate for super long, but also pulling things from like the Berlin interpretation of roguelikes and blah 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 and like all this other stuff, and then also like just generally devolving into what it means for like what is genre theory.
yeah,
What is jazz, like all of like metal subgenres, like all that stuff, they all kind of like blend together in that episode, I think.
that's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm of the mind that I think that the term roguelike should be retired.
Hmm.
It should be put to pasture, personally.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think back to like the late 90s and when everything was called a Doom clone, and then you had this kind of phase transition where everything was like Doom clone, Doom clone, Doom clone, and then it like transitioned to FPS.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've had that transition for like, we just need like some snappy marketable three-letter acronym for whatever these games are, for like turn-based, tile-based, procedurally generated like permadeath RPGs. There's a way to like TLA that in a nice compact succinct fashion, but I don't think we're quite there yet.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this is going to sound like really one-sided, but I think traditional roguelike still works for the most part because that still kind of applies to the type of game that you can reliably and consistently catch the vibe of. Like
True.
you know for the most part what that means.
Right. But I think devil's advocate a little bit. I think that tends to drift a little when as time goes on, because people will be like, "Oh, traditional in the sense of roguelikes from like 2012 or 2013 or so." I just saw a post on, I don't know, I think it was Reddit or something, where someone was like, "Oh yeah, this plays like a traditional roguelike game like Spelunky," and my eyes kind of popped
Oh,
out of my head. But
no.
at the same time, I was like, well, in that context, like 2012 was like 10 years ago, and if that's like traditional in air quotes from the sense of today, you know, is that so? I think like the TLDR is like traditional roguelikes, yes, makes sense from people who have played roguelikes from a long time ago, but I think something that anchors it more succinctly is like 90s roguelikes or 80s or 90s roguelikes, because I think like that really pins it into this era of more kind of simplified graphics. There was like basically everything was turn-based at that time, unless you're counting Toe Jam and Earl, which whatever. Um, and then yeah, like has this sort of like design aesthetic that is very focused to that decade. Um, Whereas like traditional, I feel like drifts a little as time goes on. And what's funny is like if you dive through the Steam tags, there's a lot of games releasing with, I think, traditional roguelike accidentally applied, because it's
No.
like, well, it's a roguelike that incorporates traditional like mythological elements from certain cultures, therefore traditional roguelike. And I'm like, well, you're not totally wrong, but
Uh, I hurt.
yeah.
Pain.
So we just need a new tag in Steam, 90s roguelike. That'll solve everything forever.
I don't, I can't, I cannot. No, can't, can't do it. Um, I mean, like, okay, like I'm not gonna be a purist or anything. I do think that like the idea of using traditional roguelike to mean it means something specific, but I mean if it's been butchered to the degree that now we don't know what that means anymore, that's
Mhm.
fine. I'm cool not dying on the hill of traditional roguelike. Just put that one to pasture as well. I'm more like I prefer collection of um like descriptors or
Mm,
mechanics to describe a game.
yeah,
Because yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
and
Like
it's
turn-based, permadeath, random generation, uh,
yeah,
loot gathering. Like those are things that could describe CUD, RPG
yeah.
mechanics.
And when you describe it, this there was a really interesting panel at the Penny Arcade Expo in Seattle this summer, where I got an interview with some of the panelists, where they were debating like what it means between like and this was specifically for the topic of what makes a Souls-like game, kind of, so a little tangentially relevant, but it's like the balance between gameplay mechanics and game like theme elements.
Right.
And I totally agree that games like this that are permadeath procedurally generated RPGs, those are all gameplay mechanics. Like there's nothing about like Caves of Cud, for example, like this being like a sci-fi-ish game. There's nothing about the fact that it's sci-fi that makes it what we think of like a traditional roguelike. It's those gameplay mechanics.
Yeah.
But for something like a Souls game, there is that kind of dark fantasy element to it that starts to creep in as like, oh, well, theme might be an important factor into this. But yeah, I think like games like all of the things that we cover in the podcast, like it's so broad spectrum because those gameplay mechanics can be applied to all sorts of game genres. So like platformers, shooters, top-down games, games where you're like managing squads of characters. If that involves like permadeath, procedurally generation, and like some minor level of RPG mechanics, does that qualify?
Yeah. I guess roguelike is just a shorthand for a collection of mechanics.
Right.
And I mean, I guess you can either be really bothered by that or not. I walk the middle ground where I know that the term roguelike basically means nothing now.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable with that. And I use it as a shorthand to give people or set expectations for people. But like, I'm very clear to also add like this is an action roguelike, this is a platformer roguelike, this is a engine builder, like just to make it clear like I know that that term doesn't mean much, but in this context it means permadeath or some generation, replayability, those kind of things.
Yeah. I feel like it's a handicap of the blank like marketing syndrome where something becomes popular and then someone's like, "Oh, well if you enjoyed that, you'll enjoy this because it's a Hades like. It's a um Gran
No.
Turismo like, it's something that like, you would enjoy like buy my game because it incorporates similar uh design aesthetic or gameplay mechanics as this other insanely popular game that it and inspiration is a totally valid thing. I just wish that the blank like uh paradigm just wasn't as um quick and easy as it is to apply to just kind of everything.
Yeah.
But that's I guess that's just what the reality that we kind of live in for the moment until we come up with something better.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that consumerism is just taking the straight line,
Hmm.
the quickest line to how we perceive a thing, and so how we can package it for basically how for other people to consume.
Yeah.
That sounds cynical, but I don't I look at it pragmatically.
It's tough, like especially on Steam if you're releasing a game there. Itch isn't any better for what it's worth, but on Steam, you're limited to 20 total tags for your game.
Wow.
And if you're trying to like, I feel bad for developers that are like, well, how do I balance that between what are the gameplay mechanics in it and what are the like genre specific elements that people are searching for like store purposes. Um, and it's tough. Like, that's where I think that, people have to go in and use your voice of democracy and vote for those tags that you think are relevant and report the ones that you don't think are relevant. And, maybe that can help kind of clean it up a little bit. But I almost wonder if like Steam needs like separation of tags between like these are the ones that are the gameplay specific tags, and these are the ones that are like the genre or theme specific tags. So we're basically at the final level of one of the rust wells here. We're pretty close to our quest of scavenging 200 feet of copper wire out of the walls, like any good uh, deranged lunatic coming out of the salt marshes. We got 154 feet so far. How confident are we that the last 50 feet is on this level versus having to go to another one?
We are very certain that there is at least 50 feet on this floor. I am very certain
Okay.
that there's 50 feet on this floor, which is the only reason that I haven't stopped you from like continuing exploration on this floor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There is a. I was mentioning last episode. There is a danger on this floor. There is a slumberling, and you know it's not like there's a not 0% chance that they will completely destroy you.
Mm-hmm.
But you know we're hoping that that doesn't happen. Those jilted lovers, by the way, are very worth always taking out.
Hmm. Is that
They
just for XP?
well, no, even if they don't give you any XP, they actually have a rare chance of dropping Lover's Blossom, which is a very, very good ingredient, which I won't spoil what it does, but all I'll say is it's very, very good.
Huh.
And it stays relevant throughout the entire game, I would say.
Yeah.
So I
So
always
this
make
is
sure I do that. Yeah,
this
that's
feels
Nightmare.
like I'm in the biohazard maximum biohazard level of a Resident Evil game right now with all this mutated nonsense
Yeah.
along the walls. Is this an indication that like oh like we're going through the critical path of maximum enemies is the correct way?
No, there's no indication.
Okay.
It's just some areas are gonna suck, and this is one of them.
Luckily, we can at least kind of
Oh,
one hit most of these guys.
apparently your studded leather can rust. That is very funny.
Well, I guess the studs are maybe metal.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I don't like that, but I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Well, that
And
sucks. You
well,
just lost 3
yeah.
AV.
Oh, yeah. I thought we had another armor.
You have
Oh,
a
that one's
helmet.
also. Oh, that.
You have
So
a
does that
helmet
get
and
unequipped?
you have boots. Yeah, it automatically unequips when it's no longer usable.
Huh.
You
So
can
even.
fix it spray foam,
Yeah.
but you probably don't want to at this stage because like you're still in here and it's just gonna get rusted again.
Yeah. So is it rusted from the interaction with these kudzus that are everywhere?
Yeah, yeah. Like I was saying, every time they attack you, there's a chance that they rust one of your gears,
Yeah.
one of your metal-based items. And unfortunately, this also continues to apply to your studded leather. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but basically, right now your studded leather is rusted but fixable. And if you roll really badly, it will just rust to dust. It will just disappear from your inventory forever.
Well, interesting.
Which you know, not the end of the world. Like
Yeah.
there's other studded leather out there.
And this, I feel like this is so early game too that this is just like, yeah, this is like something that you would have so early on that mid game your armor is just going to be so much better. I'm not going to even remember the studded leather armor getting rusted probably.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's pretty early game. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Now, is there a risk of things rusting when you're traversing through salty water a lot?
No, it's really just the kudzu. I think sap has an effect, a rusting effect, but I'm not actually super sure about that. Check that yellow spot on the ground. Is that already brackish? Ooh, there's 2 of them. Ah,
Sap.
salty. Damn. Okay. What about the other one? Damn, salty also. Shoot. Okay. If you get lucky and the sap is clean on the ground, then I recommend picking it up. But that's like super. You figure you pick this stuff up maybe on your second or third playthrough. Or fourth or fifth. I don't know how many. Now your weapon is rusted. That's
Oof.
unfortunate.
Still
There was
got our still got some other stuff available here. Well, it's not an axe though, so we that won't benefit from our
yeah. This sucks. I won't lie. But you know, like now you may as well just commit. The only thing I
I'll,
will recommend is not going near the pool in the center.
yeah, because the big boy in there.
Yeah. Well, you don't. The spider. Well, you're in it now. The spider would have left you alone.
Oh.
You
Oh,
can't
that's right.
dismember. You don't have an axe. So now you're
Yeah.
punching spiders, which your fists technically count as cudgels.
Oh, interesting.
You
So
can
that
bludgeon with a fist.
can go pure ape mode. So the 50 feet of wire we're guessing is somewhere in the perimeter here,
Yeah, I'm
and
hoping it's not in the center. I would guess it's in the northwest. Ooh, is
yeah,
it? Oh, yeah, it was salty anyway. That's fine. If you step in it, it's probably salted.
so much kudzu. Oh, we got some
There's
wire.
there's some wire. Yeah, that's 20
20
feet. I
feet.
mean, that's not bad. That's like all of your gear now that has rusted. That really sucks.
But at the same time, like I think we have a pretty clear path to the exit.
Yeah,
And once we get that wire, okay, we got 174 feet now. We're closing in. Um,
we really need that 50 feet.
yeah.
This
But
is
once we
the worst case scenario, to be honest. You can get out of here without all of your goods being rusted. Literally, all of your metal-based stuff has rusted. I mean,
yeah.
one nice thing, I guess, is that none of them are destroyed yet, but now they're all on the table to get
Mhm.
destroyed.
Does that mean there's a higher chance of the wire getting rusted now because all the other stuff is rusted?
Yeah, but it'll only rust 1 foot of the wire.
Oh, okay, thank God.
So it's not gonna rust all 174 feet. That's and then that's why like getting that 50 feet would be really nice because then it kind of guarantees you can leave safely. Honestly, at this point, I just auto explore. I guess you can't because it's gonna let you know every time there's a thing. Yeah.
I guess we could turn that threshold up.
We could, but it's better not to. That's just
Yeah.
my like having played the game a lot and impatience for like mundane tasks. This is a really bad Rust Wells. I think that's the 50 foot. No, that's just another 10 feet.
Just
Wow.
another 10.
Oh God.
This reminds me of that Simpsons episode where Homer is getting initiated into the stonecutters. And
Yeah.
he has to go through the hall of paddles. I feel like I'm just getting paddled.
Yep, your
Steel
boots are
reduced
gone.
to dust. There we go.
I don't know. I guess there's nothing. You would have seen the slumberling if there was anything here to aggro it. So you could
Yeah.
take a peek. Just don't punch that slumberling. Whatever you do,
Very tough.
they're asleep and they will stay asleep. I think generally speaking, as long as you don't attack them.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping. I thought we didn't. I thought there was still 50 feet. Well, there is generally speaking, a good in the center. So I guess I'm gonna be a hypocrite and say maybe push your luck and go and grab
Yeah.
it.
Nothing ever.
Wow, there's
Nothing fun
nothing.
ever happens if you play it safe here.
Seriously, nothing. There's like one undiscovered tile there. If you take one more step to your right. Wow, is it like on the guy? Try like plus or minus while you're looking at Slumberling. Oh my god, that really sucked. That has actually never happened for me
That's
ever.
funny.
That is actually a crazy. You might actually be able to pick it up. I'm not kidding.
If I can just like go up and just like pick it up from underneath him.
Yeah, I think you could.
We do have teleport still.
Yeah, that's true. You do have teleport, so that is and the nice thing about the Slumberling is that they kind of take a couple turns to rev up, and then they they're basically a walking wood chipper. So like, you have if you do wake him up, you're gonna want to play this turn by turn though. Don't rush at all. So yeah, like just like walk right up next to him, and then you want to do what you did before, so you can see the wire. You should be able to do it now. And then hit interact. Because you can pick up from one tile away. Like hit space, I think.
Don't want to do that. Okay.
No, you
so
don't want to do
look,
that. Yeah, look.
Plus,
And now try
and then
space.
base. Ooh,
There
there
you
we
go.
go.
Get.
Okay,
There you go.
we did it.
Truly a nightmare scenario. Wait, was there another 50 foot there, or was it just the old panel not going away? There's another 50 foot there?
I believe so.
Oh,
And a
grab.
square cap.
Yeah, grab that. That square cap is great. We love that square cap. Same dealy.
Space.
Yep. Get space.
Space.
Get
Get.
perfect. And now we book it.
Okay. We'll just pretend like we were never here. So like Slumberling being in the center there is feels like a boss fight level deal.
Yeah.
Is like Slumberling something that's like always, or I guess like
There's always a higher than average level creature at the bottom of every Rust well.
yeah.
It might not be a slumberling. If it was like a rustacean, I might have even recommended you could fight them.
Mm,
If it was, there's a couple of options or a couple things it can be. Sometimes it can be really nasty. Slumberling is actually a kind of a good role because, especially in the circumstances that you encountered it, because there was nothing else on the screen. If there was a couple snapjaws on that screen, that would have been like absolutely leave that room and then like encase it in a concrete sarcophagus. Like it's just not something you're ever gonna want to deal with.
yeah.
This snapjaws have like zero life preservation, and they'll just go up and slap a slumberling and go neener neener, and then they will get obliterated. And now the slumberling is awake, and they will just aggro towards you.
Fun.
We hate it.
That's the kind of like interfaction fighting nonsense that I always find really fun with games like these where you're just like you are part of this bigger world that it's not just everyone against you, but like the other factions have beef with each other that yeah, something like that to watch out for.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, you made it. It was kind of a rough rust wells. You have no gear now.
Well, we did drop some of the stuff here in Joppa, assuming someone hasn't come by and
Yeah, no, we did.
jumped
I
it.
suppose we could switch to our axe, the other axe, but the thing is, we still don't have a alternative light source.
Hmm.
I do happen to know. Well, no, never mind. I don't. I guess I technically do know of an alternative light source, but it's not great.
Hmm.
We could go check that out, and it might be a good way to cap the series actually.
Hmm. Still have 84 feet of wire
Yeah, it
here.
only takes 200. You had like
Oh, that's right, because of
massive
the
surplus.
extra 50. We had a whole 100 sitting underneath that slumberling.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. All right, so we have an optional quest of going to Umish, and we still have the making a pilgrimage to the 6 day still. But it
Yeah.
sounded like you had an idea for another option for.
Yeah, I mean, like the 6 day still is a nice little optional side thing. We could go run there, and I can kind of talk a little bit about what's good to keep in mind there, and a couple of advanced things, and we could
Hmm.
cover that. And then I think if we if there's time, we can start one last kind of optional thing that is worth looking at. So yeah, you've got your first recoiler. That's gonna be need to be powered, by the way.
Mm.
This is another thing, by the way. Recoil is one of those things I bind. I like to make it like Shift R because it gives you um, a pop up that lets you choose from all of the recoilers that you have,
Ah, interesting.
and
And
that
so this is kind of like an additional fast travel system.
yes, that lets you teleport directly to Joppa.
Hmm.
But there's limitations that you will want to be aware of if you don't want to die. You can't just teleport out of combat
Yeah.
unless you know there are loopholes. You can sort of, but most of the time you can't. But
Yeah. And so if we were like deep in the jungle out here fighting something, we're like, "Oh man, we're pretty beat up. We should return to the nearest town." If we had that town's specific recoiler, we could do that instead of just like trudging through the forest to get back there manually.
yep. Pretty much every town has a recoiler, and you don't get them for free. You have to buy them, generally speaking.
Hmm.
But they are worth it because a lot of the towns are ones that you come back to quite regularly. That one does. It came with a strange cell, and you could have a look at that. Although your character is still very dumb, I might recommend like pulling it out and then have Argive paying Argive to tell you what it is. So you go replace cell and then remove cell because you don't have an alternative, and then you just go and trade with Argive and. He'll tell you what it is. Oh, right. And he's
Ah,
also going to tell you about the signal.
uh-huh. It's repeating itself. Mumbles to himself for several minutes. Apprentice, come here. Something strange is occurring. The conduit is picking up a signal, some sort of repeating transmission. I cannot decipher it, however. I lack crypto goal eggs, of course. And, well, never you mind. I have a great task for you, my apprentice. Do you accept it? Can I know what it is? Yes, you must seek out Barathrum the Old, the eldest and wisest tinker alive. He lives with his followers with the Barathamites under the arch of the Grit Gate. To the northeast, in the jungle strangled ruins of Cud. He will know what to make of the signal. Who are these Barathamites? Disciples of Barathrum, obviously. Mostly Urshib, like their mentor, quilled albino bears, love it, who prefer their candle-dim caves to the sun-salted surface of the jungle. 1,000 years ago, Barathrum and his kin crossed the Holmes Delta into the rusting heart of Cud. He has spent centuries peeling the chrome shells off of Time's artifacts in his workshop. If he cannot decipher the signal, no one can. I accept this task, Argive. Splendid. Perfect. Let me record the signal to disk, which you'll need to guard with your life, I'm afraid. I'll rig up a droid scrambler for you too. You see, the Barathamites have programmed a troop of way droids to guard the approach to Gritgate. With the scrambler, you needn't worry about them. Wait here. Mumble, mumble, mumble. Here you are. Now, go! Off with you. May you live long enough to do my bidding. Away, away.
Fun stuff. Fun little extra thing also. You know that if you look at that shelving unit in the bottom right corner of his office, you can loot that. Not a lot of stuff in there, but as soon as you become Argive's apprentice, he's chill with you taking some stuff out of there.
Yeah.
Used to be he had a chest, and now he just has this closet.
Because most of the time, like if you go to like this guy's chest and try to open it, say, oh,
Yeah,
you sure you want to do that? Or are you
yeah,
gonna turn into Skyrim thief mode?
yeah, exactly. He's got a canteen of fresh water.
Hmm. I'll clean all
Whoa.
my items with it. We'll leave them alone for now, I guess.
So yeah, let's get Argive to examine that artifact,
Right.
and
Yes.
then we can head off for 6 day stilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to trade it.
Yeah.
Identify it.
Identify, please.
It is a chem cell, a used one. He didn't even give you a full battery. What you can pay him to charge it, I suppose.
Oh, interesting.
Might want to do
Recharge.
that. 13 drams, Argive. You're such a cheapskate. You might want to
Like,
sell your daggers because now we're running sort of low on.
oh,
Oh, I suppose we could pay. Don't sell the X. You could pay Argive to fix it for you.
oh, interesting. Repair?
5 drams. Not bad. Now
Woo.
you have a weapon again.
Yay! Something that doesn't require us to give up our torch.
That's right.
So we can
You're gonna need that
trade.
chem cell.
Oh, yeah, good call. Don't want to trade that guy.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of trade goods right now. And in fact, you don't really have a lot of water either. Is there
Hmm.
anything near the bottom? Do you have any trade goods? You could trade your book, I suppose.
Yeah.
You don't have any trade goods either. I'd sell him the scrap. I guess you're literally selling his own scrap back to him, which is fun. But he also kind of ripped you off on that battery, so you know what?
Yeah.
Fair's game. You could sell him the kudzu stem. That stuff is basically worthless. I'd sell him the data disk. Your character's never going to be a tinker.
Yeah. Not for this series. And book two, maybe?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? No. Reason being is we need that to underline some things in 6 day stilt.
Ah, okay.
All right, that's pretty good. Yeah, 44 drams, 100 drams. That should be enough to get us to. Oh, he has a symbiotic firefly. You know what? You want to try some advanced shenanigans?
Uh, $900. That seems like it's gonna be very advanced shenanigans.
Exactly. That's why we can't afford that by any standard means.
Mm-hmm.
This is we're gonna call this a dark end series because I think we're gonna abandon all hope for a Joppa. Sure. Yeah. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our love injector on Argive.
Oh boy. Okay. This feels very cut appropriate here.
So you're gonna have to bail on this. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into our inventory and don't apply. You actually need to equip it manually to your left hand, which is your primary hand. And I'm just trying to think if there's any way this could go about. I would honestly leave Joppa and then come back just so that we make a save spot here in case this goes like horribly awry, which it might.
That's the beauty with these kind of sandboxy RPGs here. Is
Yeah.
getting the whole town mad at you.
All right, so now we're gonna hold control and then move in the direction of Argive.
Oop.
Yep.
Oh shit.
And now he's fighting you back. He missed, so just keep hitting him. You should be able to just normally move into his space now.
Okay,
We've
because I'm like bump attacking him with the love injector, right?
yeah, exactly.
But I can't like attack with a specific love injector item.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Like I guess use like I would assume apply to here would give me some option to say like, oh, apply to something on the map
No,
and then apply
because
to
yeah, no, because no one wants to be willingly applied to. I think that apply to really only works for allies and yourself.
mhm.
And Argive isn't your ally, at least not yet.
Yeah.
So let's commit to this.
Okay. Control
Argive falls in love with you.
by force.
There we go. So now a couple things to note. He's got the blinking heart effect that shows us that he's in love with us, and he's also really important detail to note here is he's flipped to looking to the right. It's the same direction as us. Our character is actually the direction our character's tile looks in is very specific. Everyone else who's not allied with us always looks to the left. So when they're looking to the right, you know that they're your ally.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna basically look at them and chat, and we're gonna go to trade. And now we should be able to. Well, it still says 952, but you should be able to just
Does it need like a couple turns to affect?
possibly, yeah, they're lovesick.
And
Okay.
so we have an ally. I'm guessing if you build up enough allies in your playthroughs of CUD, you can almost like RTS them or like XCOM them around with like move over here and set a defensive stance, move over here and attack stuff.
I would say that yeah, you've now gone aggressive to Joppa. You're just gonna want to wait like a couple turns and then try to trade. I'll answer that question in just a sec. Just try throwing that trade, like try throwing the symbiotic on the trade because it says 950, but it might actually be lying in a way.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
come
you
back.
wanna stop what is happening from happening. You just need to grab that from Argive before he starts, because now he's become aggressive to everyone else. Let him if you want to tell him to stop moving, then that'll stop this from happening. But also we're gonna just try and grab that item. So now that will not do
Direct
anything.
to stay here,
Yeah.
right?
Direct to stay there, and then also chat, and then begin trade. And now just like try throwing it on the trade. Just yeah, +1, and now hit O. There you go. Yeah, it was kind of lying in a
Yeah,
sense.
interesting.
We could also grab the other artifacts from him.
These
You
guys?
can grab everything. Grab the data discs. I would never do this in a normal playthrough, but
Right.
since we're trying to like make some interesting ground here, then this worked. I'd leave him as freshwater. We don't want to be total villains. Yeah, the fried. I mean, no, we're not tinkers, so we're only grabbing the data discs to be good trade fodder.
Yeah.
And now we
No,
hit O.
I don't know if I should steal my melee weapons back here.
Nah.
Okay.
All right, now we need to flee. Like I genuinely think you should hit the sprint and then leave Joppa like quickly.
Yeah, because my reputation here, if we collapse them all,
Your reputation with Joppa will be fine. It's untouched. But
interesting.
but you've basically created a combat skirmish situation in Joppa, and things are going to become very dire very quickly. Is he still moving towards Sisyphus?
I think so. Defensive only,
Yeah. Well, so like if you
or
leave,
come along.
if you just really want to beeline it for that left side, because if you
Okay.
leave, then it'll freeze Joppa and it'll give it time to kind of cool off.
Ah, okay.
So
We're sprinting.
yeah, we're sprinting.
Get out of here.
There we go. Okay. Oh, he's still following you. That's not correct.
Well, I directed him to follow because
Okay.
I was trying to say no, over this way. Stop aggroing and
Okay.
beating up on the poor kitty cat.
All right. Well, you can tell him to stay there, and that's probably fine. Oh,
Stay
interesting.
here. Stay out of Joppa, sir.
okay. So now let's go to the world map, and we're gonna go. Well, let's just go like one tile away. Actually, oh, you didn't grab your axe, did you? I forgot about
Oh,
that.
the two-hand axe.
Yeah, there's a reason I had you do all of that, and it related to the axe. Strangely enough,
Argive is here.
you should be okay. Yeah, if you want to go in through the bottom, just try not to attack anyone. I am really hoping Mehmet is not aggro. It looks like he's not. This is good. I can tell because one of the reasons I had you put the mini map on the top right corner is it's a good way of seeing who's aggro to you.
Because I'm down here, the little white square, and green is neutral.
Yeah, the green is non-hostile at the very least. So we'll go and grab our axe real quick, and then we'll leave. You can grab all that if you want. You can just hit tab. And now what we'll do is go to your equipment, and we're going to equip the symbiotic firefly. So that is a floating nearby light source. We can unequip the torch, and now we can equip the two-handed carbide battle axe. So symbiotic firefly is one of my favorite early game items. It's a very, very crappy light source. It's only radius 4, and it dies when you unequip it. You're basically just swatting it out of the air when you unequip it. And it gives you plus 400 reputation with insects. So it actually kind of makes you neutral with most insects, which is really nice. There's a lot of really mean insects that being on neutral ground with is quite good.
Yeah.
And now we don't need a torch.
And so, like, the expectation of encountering this early game, probably not through the trade shenanigans that we just did, but I'm guessing through some sort of ruin or lair or something like that we could pick it up, or from another merchant, maybe.
Yeah, well, it's 1,000 drams basically. It's a quite a. I think people highly regard this item, and I think for good reason. If you can find it, that's pretty good. I occasionally get to find them before they become like almost irrelevant in the mid to late game when you have other better things that really need to take your one floating nearby slot. So we should be good to run the 6-day stilt now, and we've got some trade goods and we've got a book. We've got everything we need that would make a journey to 6-day stilt justified.
So, like,
yep,
it seems like there's a lot of empty tiles here. There's not a whole lot of red rocks and or rust wells along the way. So this should be relatively straightforward and easy, right?
That desert's full of places.
They're just not marked yet.
Yeah, you don't know about them. It's like every biome has a historic site in it. There's a historic site in basically every single biome, sometimes two. So there's definitely a historic site somewhere in that desert.
And our wayfaring right now has only really giving us a bonus to flower fields and marshes.
I don't think we have either of those.
Oh yeah, good call.
We don't have them, yeah.
And is this like? It seems like we have the option to get them. Is that something that we would want to get? And like, if we had that wayfaring of like, okay, we're less likely to get lost, we're more likely to uncover interesting stuff along the way, would that incentivize us to go, like, get to the 6-day stilt via, like, the marshlands here and then into the flower fields here? Or is it more of just like, yeah, let's just go and see what's out there?
I don't think I've ever really done that. I don't play optimally in that sense. I like having wayfaring for hills and canyons and flower fields, because getting lost in flower fields is quite dangerous, and getting lost in hills just sucks. I hate hills and canyons are like some of the worst places to get lost in. They're not even particularly deadly, they're just annoying. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily take wayfaring salt desert. It's nice, but like I also am so comfortable with the salt dunes that I could just get away with getting lost. It is potentially dangerous, but at this point, since our character is so dumb, we can't actually have it, so we just kind of have to wing it.
Battle Axe Minotaur Man has no need for books, and
That's
thus we must go to 6-day stilt.
Yeah.
So we should just start walking, huh?
Yep. And we can you can keep an eye on how much money you have, because that's how much you're drinking every time you take a step.
Right.
Yeah, so you're drinking 2 drams every step, which sucks. That's a blow.
Yeah. But once we get to 6-day stilt, I'm guessing we'll have some stuff to trade that will get us some more money water, right?
Yeah. And you're lost. And that happens.
Lost.
So a couple things to keep in mind in this situation. Being lost is fine. Being lost at night kind of sucks. So why don't we hit Control tilde and then wait till morning and hope there's nothing nearby to become aggro to us?
Now, is this something that, like, we could we could make a camp nearby as like an extra light source.
We can, but I'm pretty sure the camp has got pretty much the same radius. I don't think there's any
Okay.
benefit to doing that.
That wouldn't also aggro enemies that are lurking in the dark here, would it?
If they see you, it's because you're within their range.
Mm.
And most things can see in the dark or hear in the dark, and they can become aggro to you. If they're close enough, it won't matter. I don't think that the campfire will improve your odds of aggroing something. All right, so I think we got lucky, and you're gonna want to do like weight N and 100. 100 is pretty much this, weight 100 turns. It's pretty much the sweet spot for like waiting for the nighttime to pass. So yeah,
So this
there's your
looks
first
like
dawn glider.
this looks like something we probably don't want to mess with.
Absolutely not. Yeah, they're
And so,
great. They're great farming creatures, but like not for you right now.
yeah, so they got wings. I can't tell if they're flying though.
They do fly.
Okay. But that's like a toggled state for them, basically.
Yeah, I think they take a second to fly, and then they're a pain, and you basically have a very low chance of hitting them with melee. And there's a couple of hints in terms of what you can expect from a dawn glider in their description and physical features.
S-shape bod. Basically, like lots of stuff here. I'm like, I don't know what any of this means, and I think the fact that I don't know what it means I should run away.
I think the biggest hint is bright with the singe of carnelian breath, and also flaming bite.
Yeah, I guess flaming bite is referencing to what carnelian breath is, right?
Yeah, they're basically little dragons.
Oh, nice. Adorable.
Yeah. I like dawn gliders. They're cool. But they suck if you don't have the means to defend yourself.
Now, if I would assume that flaming and their little dragons, would they be weak to ice in theory?
No. I wish it doesn't really work like that.
Huh.
And I mean, like, they're not strong. Actually, that's not true. They are strong against fire, strangely enough. In fact, one of the things you can do to protect yourself in the stilt is like kill a dawn glider, butcher it, and then cook with their meat, and it gives you resistance against.
Interesting.
But no, they're not really weak to any. They're weak to bullets. They're great. They're great. Like if you have a decent long range weapon, like one of my favorite early game items is to find a sniper rifle. What amazing! One of the best weapons in the game. Carries for a long time, and it's great when you're desert combing because you can just like pick off a couple dawn gliders and really grind up a lot of XP.
Yeah, like this is a very different terrain space than what we've seen so far. Big, wide open. Like I can see this guy directly.
Yeah.
The mini map doesn't show anything in terms of like narrow passageways or constrictions or anything like that. So it's like you're saying, it's just a big open flat desert of, I guess, asphalt and
Yeah, I mean, you rolled a tarry salt desert. Sometimes they don't even have tar. They're just mostly just desert.
yeah. So is the battle plan here go away one screen and then in theory they wouldn't be, I guess I can't tell if they're aggroed on us right now, and I assume
I don't
they
think
are.
I don't think they are.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you could just like head down through that south.
Because I gotta regain. Okay, there we
you
go.
go.
Regain your bearings
So now you can just
into
like
the
go back to the overworld here.
beautiful desert there.
And
As we
then-
continue north, watching my money water tick down
Yeah, that
step by
sucks.
step.
Amphibian sucks. I really while they gave it to you in the for the tutorial character, because I would never recommend that as a first defect.
And what happens when we hit 0?
Then you
We
start
won't,
dying of thirst.
yeah, because we won't be wet anymore, and
Yeah.
froggies like to be wet, as far as I remember.
It costs you almost 50 drams to get to the stilt. That is crazy.
Now, would
Holy
that
cow.
still have cost us that much by like going through the hills? I guess we run the risk of getting lost more.
Yeah, I guess I don't think I would ever recommend that, but that's because I hate the hills.
Okay. Almost there. Hope we don't get lost.
Pretty good. You can hit it. Yep, there you go. And you get 1500 XP, and you get an achievement, level 8. And yeah, we didn't need what's his face's Gyre Iron or Salt Mill, whatever he gave you.
This is interesting. I've never been here before in my previous 15 plus hours of playing. So this is completely uncharted territory for me. And
I think it's one of like it's definitely a place that I avoided for a while because it's like, oh wow, that place must be really dangerous because it's up all the way up there at the end of the desert.
yeah.
And it's kind of a shame. I wouldn't change anything, of course, but like I think it's a place that is required to know about in a lot of ways. You'll eventually get there. I mean, there's a reason that one of the starting quests is literally go there.
Yeah.
But it's just there's so many important things to know about here that help you progress. Let's camp. We'll eat some food. We'll chill with the Mechanimist converts. We'll check it. So I don't know if we want to start this episode or next one, but there's a lot to say about 6 Day Stilt, and I think it's all pretty good stuff for beginners.
Yeah, I think let's maybe pause this one here, and then yeah, let's. I'm excited to see what the stilt has to offer.
Awesome. All right. Well, if you at home are enjoying the series, definitely hit the like button and consider subscribing for more content like this. And if you want to check out Grogpod, cover traditional roguelikes and or otherwise, depending on your how you feel about the term roguelike.
Yes, we have a episode specific for that, 2 hours long of us fight clubbing about it, and we've covered well, not all of them, but we've covered greats such as like Slay the Spire, FTL, Balatro, and some of the not so greats like games like I'm sure people have never heard of, like Low Magic Age, A Valley Without Wind, or Hack Slash Loot. Very broad spectrum. I think if there's any interest that you have in rogue style games from being a fan of Big Simple's channel, you'll probably find a lot to love there. Grogpod.zone.
Awesome. And we'll see you next time.